I mean, I only had diluted ink in here anyway, and I mean, I got plenty of use out of it, and I wanted to clean this pen out from all of the excess silicone grease, so I thought this is a good time to demonstrate how to solve that issue. Right, okay, so let's start at where you are and put this in wrong. I think this is clean now. The nib and feed and all that can be disregarded for this. Right, so what have you done? What have you done? Right, so here we go. So this cap threads onto the end of this piston thing. Let's see, this is pulled out like this. Okay, that makes sense. This piece is separate. This is the thing that actually threads onto the shaft of the piston, and as it turns, it screws the piston in and out. Right, so your problem here then is that the let's see, so it's the opposite of this basically. The piston is too far out and you can't unscrew it. The cap, let's see, I'm trying to replicate the issue. Let's see, so this is difficult. Right, so it's not that is too far out. So basically I want to screw this in quite far before I put the piston in. I think that's what it is. No, that's not it. I need to unscrew it loads. No, screw it in. Screw it in like this. There we go. Screw it in like that and then put the piston in. And then the piston won't, it'll be like that, I guess. Something like that. God, I've got grease all over my fingers. Right, so we'll pop that in here. That's pretty tough. There we go. I haven't lubricated this. I will do later. So let's see. No, that's not it. So let's unscrew this. How the hell did you put it in? Jesus Christ. Like that. There we go. Yeah, push like so. Unscrew it. There's the problem. Right, so we're basically at where you are. Right, so your issue is that as you screw it up like this, it tightens up against the barrel, and that means you basically can't unscrew the inner mechanism. And as you unscrew this cap, it screws in the other one. So what you really need to do is there we go, that did it. That literally did it immediately. Now I don't know how tight these threads are for you. I hope they're not too tight, because if they're very, very tight, it'll be harder to get this out. But see where we are now. As I'm unscrewing this, it's screwing these ones in, because these are reverse locked, reverse threaded. So normally with any type of threads, there's a universal rule where as you're turning it anti-clockwise, it undoes the threads, and when you turn it clockwise, it does up the threads. The only exception to that is when you've got something that you want to make sure doesn't undo while you're doing up something else, or doesn't undo when you're undoing something else. So if you're undoing this cap, you don't want these threads to undo at the same time, because then the piston will start to come out, right? So that's why they're reverse threaded. Now, it's not such an issue when you lock this one up. When you tighten this one, it gets to a point where it's tight against the barrel, and it's unlikely for you to continue tightening and start taking the other one out, if that makes sense. But that is what will happen. If you keep going, it will start undoing this one. So that's really all you need to do. Now, the issue is if you introduce a different force, right? So let's do this. So this is where we are now, right? So we're undoing it to this point. It's bumping up against this little ledge here in the barrel. And if you pull on it just slightly, don't really tug on it, right? Just slightly pull on it, you're introducing a different force. So it might be that by doing that, you are making it more likely to undo these threads, basically. I don't know if that works. I just did it earlier. Really, the best thing to do, once you've cracked these threads, they shouldn't actually be too tight, to be honest. As I am now, I can tighten these up real good, and still it starts undoing itself. Because really, I think the way this works is the piston should stop. Let's see what. There is a stop for the piston, right? So I don't know if, yeah, I think the ledge is here. Let me have a look. Let me undo this to the point, right? Yeah, it is there. So this little ledge here, you can see it there. That's where the seal really becomes apparent. And once this piston assembly is fully screwed in, and you've adjusted this piston correctly, it should stop there. It shouldn't go beyond that, right? Anyway, so hopefully that helps you get it out, and I'll go over how to right, how do I do this? Right, like this. Here we go. Is this working? I can't tell if this is working or not. Oh, I see what I've done. Okay, let's pull this out. Right, so hopefully that helps you get it out, right? So you basically screw this knob clockwise until the point where it's, it's against the barrel. And if you've lubricated this little area here, it should allow you to continue rotating, and that continuation will start undoing these threads, which is what you want. Now, once you've gotten this out, this is not set correctly for you. I think what you've done is you've unscrewed this, or you screwed this this cap in and then put this in afterwards. What you need to do is undo this cap. I can't remember how far, but basically you want to set it just right before you put the whole assembly in. So at a certain point, this will just come off. The threads will, you'll run out of threads basically. And then what you want to do is screw this in, and you'll notice as you screw this cap in, it will at the same time pull this piston in, right? Because there's two threads acting here. There's one here for the cap, and there's another one here, albeit very very crude threads, or maybe not crude, maybe just very thick, not fine, broad threads here on the piston shaft. So so as you're threading the cap on, it's also pulling the piston in. What you want to do is you want to have it to the point. So you see this little ledge here. Let me see if I can point to it with something. Let's bring it closer to the camera. Where are we? So you see this here. This is where this cap stops moving. That's the ledge, right? So what you and then at that point, once it gets to that, that will be closed on the pen. Once it's inside the pen, that will be fully closed. So you want to adjust this piston so that when it gets to this ledge, this piston is not completely against this barrel, right? It's slightly out, very slightly, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Right, so, and basically the way we do that is we pull this out, we screw this in a little bit, and then we introduce this back in, and then hopefully there. So right now, this might not actually be perfect. It might need one more. So once this gets to this point, you'll feel it bump, right? It'll get to the end. There you go. It's run out of threads there. It's loose. So you screw this in a tiny bit more, and then you introduce this back in. Now, see, here, it's up against that ledge there, the stop. It won't go any further. That's completely tight on the pen, right? That's there, basically. And this piston is not all the way back. That's bad, right? So you can kind of dry fit it or eyeball it here, like that. And you can see where the piston will sit. And obviously that's not far back enough, right? So again, let's play with this. Ideally, when you're servicing this pen, you don't want to screw this and play with this until this comes out, and then you have to reset because it's a whole faff, right? You don't want to be messing around with that. So you just do this once. I think I'm just jumping one thread like that, one ledge. Let's see how it looks now. That might be almost there. Let's see. Maybe one more. So I'm holding the top of this to make sure it doesn't fall out. But as you can see, at a certain point, there, it will stop moving out. I've run out of threads. So here I'm continuing to unscrew this cap. And there you see that little jump there. That means it's found the next thread, basically. And then we'll pull it in again. I think one more will be enough. Like that. Right, now, as you can see, this is fully closed and this piston is pretty much as far back as it will go. And that is, I think, perfect. As you can see, the end of this barrel here is pretty much where this little ledge is. So the piston won't go past that ledge anyway, right? And that's fine. And now if we undo this, continue undoing it, we'll see that now this is not how it will sit. When you're undoing this little ledge here, that black ledge that I was showing you earlier, that will sit here, right? Because the threads will be holding it in. So that will sit there. You'll have a little space here for your tool, right? And as you can see, this piston is nowhere near the end yet. So that's perfectly fine. You can continue. This will not unthread itself because the piston will not go that far, basically. So that is set correctly. That's what you want. You want it so that when this is tight against there, pretty much, this will not go any further. I think it will stop it here as well. You see the shaft back here? It won't go any further than that. Actually, I might just quickly clean that off. That's annoying. One sec. So when you're lubricating these parts, you want to lube them properly, but you also you don't want these parts to be absolutely caked in grease. because that just introduces extra friction. You don't really want that. It doesn't help anyone. It doesn't make it smoother. In fact, it makes it gummy. So what I was doing is just cleaning the back of this piston off, so that when it hits the top, when it hits the cap, it doesn't create a little gummy deposit. This is that same shaft. So this is the shaft I was talking about earlier, that I don't know if you can call these threads, but the cap itself has got these little fins that grab onto this and turn it. Right, let's clean this. It doesn't have to be perfectly clean, as long as it doesn't have grease all over it. Right, so put that back in there, like so, and we can put this back on here. That's it, that's the thread there, and then we can grab this. God knows where the threads start. We'll find out soon, I guess. No, that's too far. Right, so let's undo it a little, do it up a little bit before we introduce the piston back in. There, that's how it was. Right, so what I was saying earlier, it's still doing it, whatever, who cares. There is a stop here, so the shaft of the piston is actually colliding with the back of this knob, so it won't go any further than that anyway, which is good. I'm not sure, once I assemble this I'll have to have a look. I'm not sure if that's going to stop it from the knob actually tightening onto the barrel of the pen. That might be an issue, but we'll see in a second. Right, so let's undo this. Push this in. Oh, that's funny, as I'm trying to push it in, it's undoing itself. Right, so undo that a little bit, push it in. Right, so now we can use our tool. Don't have to faff about with that. And remember, it's reverse. I was about to do it the other way, but you know, muscle memory. So you're doing it anti-clockwise to tighten, which is the opposite of what it usually is. At a certain point it will just stop, right? Let's undo this. There. Don't tighten it too far, it doesn't need to be crazy tight. There we go. So that's fine, you've got plenty of space there. The piston has gone all the way to the bottom. And let's tighten it and see if that has worked. No. I mean, it's fine, it's come back all the way, but it's not tight. It's loose, right? It hasn't tightened onto the barrel. Maybe you prefer it that way. Maybe you prefer it to come back as far as possible and this little play doesn't really annoy you. It annoys me, so let's fix that. And it's very easy, as I showed you earlier. Right clockwise to undo this because it's reverse. To be honest, I could just hold this in place and move the other one, right? But or move the barrel rather. Right, so what we want to do then is, so this is colliding with the back, it's not tightening. We want to push it in one notch earlier, no, later I think it was, I can't remember. We'll find out in a second. Oh, I think it's later, so we need to pull this out, tighten this a tiny bit, and then reintroduce it. One more. Ah, that's too far. Right, so we've gone one too far. Maybe one more. There, I think that's as far as I can go realistically. Let's try one more. Yeah, that is as far as I can go. So let's reset that. God damn it. Right, so this needs to be tighter. Oh, this is annoying. Right, so let's pull this out, tighten this up a bit, reintroduce it, and then just go one notch at a time. 1, 2, maybe one more. 3. There. I think that's the ideal point right there. That little space, you can sort of see like one thread there on this piston. Any tighter than that, and the back of that piston is going to collide with the back of the cap, and it's not going to tighten properly. So that is good. You can see it's actually tightening against this black piece here, which is good, because that black piece is really what it's tightening against on the pen. Cool, so now that that's done, let's apply a tiny bit of liquid. Liquid silicone grease, or silicone oil rather. It's called silicone oil, not grease, because grease is thick. This is from a motorcycle helmet. It's the same stuff. Oops. That's going to go everywhere. I need to clean that up. So really, you only need a tiny amount. Only a tiny amount. I'm not even going to turn the bottle upside down. That's how small of an amount we need. In fact, I might use the cap. There we go. That's enough. What's going on here? It's the problem with oil. Frickin' gets everywhere. And grease as well. Right, so you only need a tiny bit. So that's enough. And then reintroduce it. Now, let's unscrew this so we can actually plop the tool in there. There we go. And then we gently push this back in, wiggling it a little bit. There we go. And once the threads are contacting, we can start to tighten it. There we go. Shouldn't need to go any tighter than that. That will go all the way to the bottom. And then once fully tightened, it will sit about there, which is fine for me. Like I said, any further than that, and it's gonna start colliding with this. So I don't really want that. Do you know what? Actually, I might be able to push it one thread further. I don't know for sure, but we'll give it a go. God, this is annoying. There's a lot of trial and error here. There we go. Right, so one thread, like so. Do you know, I think I'm just going to live with it, to be honest. I think that's probably fine. Because the issue is, if you go one notch further, and the piston is like sitting out here, you're reducing the ink capacity of your pen somewhat. So I might just leave it as it is. It doesn't need to be any tighter than that, to be completely honest with you. I'll have a look. But I've shown you how to adjust it, right? So it's not that big of a deal. I can just pull this out and adjust it again. It's not a problem. If you want it to be tight, you push it one notch further. If you want it to be like maximum ink capacity, you can leave it like this and it stays a little loose at the end. I think, although, do you know what? Hang on. Hang on a moment. No. There's more to this than I thought. There is more to this. There is more to this. So, okay. The adjustments are not just on the shaft of this barrel. That's not the only thread adjustment you have. So we can make this slightly tighter because of these threads here at the back. So let's undo that quickly and see what we can do. Right. Okay, so this is going to be a lot of trial and error here, but I'm going to do my best. Let's put this on here. Damn grease getting everywhere. Right, so that's too far. Okay. It's not something I can show you exactly what the, well, I probably could if I measured all the rotations, but I'm not going to do that. That's going to take freaking forever. So, right, as it is now, I'm going to rotate this. At a certain point, it's going to come loose. Like so. Now I'm going to keep on doing this until it gets about there. So you heard that little click there. It skipped one thread, I guess. I don't know how many thread starts there are on this. I can't really see it, but I'm going to tighten this up and then see if that's made a difference to where the stop is for this. I don't think it has, to be completely honest with you. No, not really. Not really. One. There's one there. It looks like there's only one anyway. This thread can only go in one way. There's only one tightness, so. Okay then. What about where this starts? That's different, isn't it? This is pretty tough. This is tough stuff. Setting this correctly, like perfectly, is actually pretty tough. Okay. It could go in one more. That's what's really annoying about this. Two more. One and two. I know I've gone through all of this before. I know it. There we go. Now it's perfect. Now it's perfect. Right. So, okay. I'm going to keep this as is. So I'm going to pop this out. Now, here's the thing, right? So there's two threads on this barrel here, right? One of them, well, I wouldn't really call this a thread, but it fits onto the back of this cap. The other one is inside and it fits onto the threads that are on the piston barrel. Oh, sorry, the piston's the piston shaft. So essentially what you have to do is you have to put, oh god, there's so many threads to keep track of. What you need to do to perfect this is you need to play with the threads that are on this cap, so that how far you have until it is stopped turning, basically it's tight against this, and where on this, so you can see I'm rotating my fingers here, right? There's another one, there's another one, there's another one. You see what I mean? So there's multiple positions for where this cap sits on this shaft. So you need to go around and experiment with this and see where it is where it sits perfect, so it tightens just as the piston's coming to the top. It's tough, and I don't know how to tell you exactly where it is because there's no markings as far as I can see. No markings. So really, let's have a look. I can't even see where the thread begins on the cap. I can't see. I really can't. Again, there's no markings. Oh, actually, hang on a moment. There is a small mark there. I don't know if that's there on purpose though. It might be. Or it might be different for every pen. I don't think that's meant for assembly purposes. But anyway, God, this has gone on a lot longer. Jesus, 35 minutes. Christ. Okay, so that's 35 minutes unedited. I'm probably going to cut this. Right, so let's put that in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to plop that. Let's get all the tissue away. Plop that on here. Tighten it somewhat to about there. And then put this back in. And then obviously make sure when you're twisting this that you're holding on to this black bit, because otherwise that'll just rotate on its own. And then pull this in. Oh, first try. There you go. So what you want basically is for the for the cap to become finger tight against this black barrel, and this piston coming as far back as possible without the shaft of the piston hitting the back of the cap. Right, that's perfect. That's perfectly set. It won't go any further than that, I'm pretty convinced. The way I know that is, see, the adjustment here is these little fins here. So if you hold it with one of the fins facing exactly against you, or towards you, and rotate it one fin, you can see how far it moves, right? So if I imagine that going forwards one more fin, I might actually be able to get away with that. Let's try it. Yeah, let's just give it a go. So to try that, I'm going to unscrew this until it gets to the point where it just wants to fall out, basically. There we go. Once it gets there, and then I'm going to unscrew this to the point where this cap is no longer threaded on. And that is coming up there. And I'm going to rotate it one slot, basically one of these fins. I'm going to push it forward one fin essentially, and then do it back up. Plop this in. These are easy to adjust. We've been doing that all night. Right, and then push this in one more, like that. One more, and one more. Let's see if that's fixed it. No, so that is actually the setting where it's connecting to, it's colliding with the back of the it's colliding with the back of the knob. So let's go back to our previous one. Unscrew this, keep up unscrewing it until we get to the point where it's out, basically. Pull it back, no, move these back one. I wonder if there is a way of setting this correctly. I don't think there is. You just got to trial and error it, really, and pull it back in. One, two, three. One and two. Oh, come on. Why is that not working? Taking a lot longer than I thought, but it's fine. This is how we learn. One more. There. That's perfect. That's perfect. That's literally perfect. That's not going to be any better than that. So yeah, there's so many settings here to get all the threads perfectly lined up. This is the most important part. This is it, literally. Once you've got it out of the barrel doesn't matter. This is everything. There's multiple settings here. So the one with the piston, like how far out the piston goes, or once the knob is fully tightened, where the piston sits, that's what's important. There are major clicks here, like the big threads are on the piston shaft itself there. And the minor ones, the tiny adjustments, are here on the back of the knob, these little fins. And I think from the footage I've shown you, you should be able to see what I've been doing and how I've set it. So this here is perfect now. So I'm also going to apply a tiny bit more silicone oil before I put this back in, but that is done now. Go away, you. There we go. And there we go. Right. That's fine. Make sure any bits of dust are taken off, like that, and then plop it back in. Make sure you undo it before you put it in as well. Obviously you need to have the tool in there to tighten it. There we go. There, now anti-clockwise to tighten. Come on, like so. Oh, okay, maybe don't go that fast. There we go. Don't overly tighten it, you don't really need to. That's the thing with this wrench, it's very easy to over tighten it because of the amount of leverage you've got. So just be careful, you don't need to tighten it very far. As long as it's finger tight about that far, that's it. You don't need to go any further than that. And there we go. And that's now finger tight against the barrel. It's actually tight, it's not loose. And this extends far enough. Obviously it usually does. There's enough space in there to get the wrench in. And you're all set. And then obviously just assemble these, or even if you haven't taken them apart, just put them back in. And you're all good to go. Okay, there you are. Hopefully that helps. I know it got pretty complicated towards the end, but I think with a bit of tinkering, your only issue really is getting the barrel out. Once you've done that, you can experiment to your heart's content. All right, catch you guys later.